Folks, we are back. You may have noticed if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, we are using some wonderful new music. You can find that in the credits below. Of course, for everyone else, we are on YouTube, and we didn't get a chance to re-upload this with the music attached to it. We do these live recordings kind of randomly, so you never really know what time we're recording, or else we'd invite you guys to come and ask your questions. We may do like a live chat or something like that for members and whatnot here in the future. Don't worry, we're not doing the whole Patreon, you got to give us money so we can talk to you kind of thing yet. As soon as we get big enough, we will absolutely do that. No, but seriously, I am the Ruthless Wonder, a.k.a. Nahari O'Dane. We are back on our usual Season 6 recap show. Of course, I don't do this show alone. The man, the myth, the legend, the Revanchist is here with me. And, dude, you are not allowed to choose this week's beginning point. I want to go straight to one thing. Daenerys Targaryen is the villain of this story, and I will not hear otherwise.
Oh, you caught the Nazi uprising speech too?
I have said this
villain monologue.
Yeah, I've said this since like season 4 that she is really the villain, because I basically had gone through that was when I first did my reread. Like late season 4 is when I had finished a complete reread of all the books again. So it was like around then I was just like, I feel like she's getting the villain tail here. And that show speech was entirely, you will conquer and kill everything for me, right? Yeah? All right, rape and pillage in my name. Like,
yeah, like definitely the evil villain monologue. Like Genghis Khan. Well, I mean, she does have the Dothraki, so she basically is Genghis Khan. She's the Mongol invaders of Europe. So
yeah, that was the other thing. It's like at this point, somebody has to be, the Mongol hordes, because I feel like the first Targaryens were really the sort of odd rise of the Roman Empire kind of thing going. And we skip so far into the future. It's like, yeah, she's kind of reinvading with a foreign army here. Is anybody else seeing this?
I think it's interesting that Euron demanded they make 1,000 ships, and it turns out actually 1,000 ships is exactly what she needs.
Well, and the other question is, how many got away?
Yeah.
They show in the next time on Game of Thrones that Theon and Yara are... See, I got it right this week, folks. Theon and Yara are discussing what to do next. And it's like, how many ships did you guys leave with? Because it looked like at least a few hundred. So,
yeah.
How close are we getting to the number you really need? Of course, though, now, I said I had to open with that because that was pressing on my mind, because, like, she is absolutely the villain here. But the thing I wanted to get to next is I want to kind of take us back, and I want to do it in 2 big bursts. We'll talk about the whole implications of what's going on with Bran at the end. I want to talk about the Tarleys, and I want to talk about King's Landing.
Yeah.
First off, what'd you think with at least going to Hornhill?
I liked the Roman architecture of Hornhill. Like, you see Hornhill and it looks nothing like anywhere else in Westeros did. And I think it's going to be interesting what happens after Sam's little escapade and deciding it's my family's sword.
Oh, and stop me if you disagree. I kind of felt like the way they were approaching what the Tarleys are doing in the story was a little odd. Like, I didn't expect Gilly to, suddenly yell out, that basically that she's a wildling. I really didn't expect that. I kind of expected them to be there a little while longer.
Uh, it does feel like it was rushed out, but it was more of a slip of the tongue on her part. She got mad and she's like, when we went down to Castle Black. And then you could just see like the cogs turning in his evil bald head, and he's like, wait a minute. Just how far north did he find you? What do you mean down to Castle Black?
Well, that, and then I also kind of when I look back at the situation when they arrive, I think that they've used that set before. The interior portion.
I think they ain't got enough money to continue fucking paying all those extras in Hornhill.
Well, I think they've used that set before, and I mean that's a good thing because that means that they're probably using the money on Old Town. But obviously we didn't talk too much about this. We kind of talked about it during the week. It is. I mean, Old Town is expensive. They're going to have to do a lot there. For it to just be Sam there doesn't make a lot of sense. So having the father kind of trying to hunt him down and get the sword back, or the brother, whichever. But it brings up something that's why I wanted to talk also about King's Landing. What did you think of the Faith's response?
I think that was brilliant. Like the High Sparrow is just like a genius. He's freaking 5 steps ahead of everybody else in King's Landing. He freaking played them all like suckers. He knew exactly how they were gonna respond.
Well, and that's the kind of odd play on his part, because we know book-wise the Faith's real base is actually all the way back in Old Town. We also know that the High Sparrow is, for some reason, amazingly attached to Baelor's scepter there in King's Landing. I kind of wonder, what's the reason for everything that's going on now? Like we've taken book plots, we've put them in different places. Obviously, Jaime now going to the Riverlands, which is something he does before everything happens with Marcella. Now it's of course after her death, so it gives it an interesting impact. You've got Dany kind of in position, looking to finally come to Westeros and the Seven Kingdoms. You've got Sansa needing her army to be large enough to actually help her and Jon take Winterfell back, which we obviously know is going to happen this season because we've seen the photos of Kit Harington dressed in his Stark armor fighting somebody on a grassy field. The only place possible would be, fighting outside of Winterfell, which, hey, what do you know? That was in the trailers. And so I wonder, like, what's left in Old Town? And then I thought about this, and tell me how you feel about this. What if Theon and Yara go reaving in Old Town?
Yeah.
Or just straight up go to Old Town?
Like, I'm getting the feeling from what we saw on the trailer to next episode is they might have just gone to Old Town.
Yeah, because we know Victarion was supposed to be doing that. Obviously, he fucks off and goes to Meereen and causes the Meereenese not to happen on his own anyway. But them going to Old Town would put them close enough, yet far enough away, kind of a situation. Like Euron can't get to them there, and they could technically kind of hide out there. I mean, they're Ironborn, but nobody is giving a shit about the Ironborn right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she said in her little Kingsmoot speech, everybody ignores us, and they're going to go right back to ignoring us.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about us. For all they care, our islands could sink into the ocean and we'd all freaking drown.
Basically.
Which does bring a good point, like, what even is the point of the existence of the Iron Islands? Like, why do the Seven Kingdoms just continue to allow them to exist?
Well, and really it's because, Harren the Black was conquered by Aegon just like everybody else was. That's the only reason they're in any way involved in this.
I know it's because they were conquered by Aegon, but I mean after all their rebellions that she so happily listed off, all the times they've been conquered by by the mainlanders and ruined, like why do they continue to give these people back their islands?
Well, because fishing. They're really the one of the only fleets available. Like technically you've had a fleet uh um in King's Landing until the Battle of Blackwater.
Yeah.
You've always had a fleet in Driftmarch, which they don't even address on the show, which is really funny. Um, you've got a fleet in White. Well, we may have a secret fleet in White Harbor. Let's see here. What is it? The House Redwine and the Arbors. They have a fleet.
Which, okay,
Dornish,
I understand they have a fleet, but to what purpose does having a fleet even matter to the Seven Kingdoms of freaking Westeros?
well, it's power, military might, basically. It's
And
like
they
saying,
couldn't have a fleet if they just took the islands over and never gave them back to the Ironborn?
well, you would have to kill off all the Ironborn and repopulate the island with mainlanders, but you still have the same
Sounds
problem.
doable.
But that's just it. You still have the same problem. Harren the Black's line was killed. The only people on the islands were a couple of the Iron Islanders that were originally there under Harren, and the rest were quote unquote Greenlanders. They were random Westerosi folk that they put out there to take over. So that's why you had so many people following Yara. It's
So
like, I don't give a shit
basically,
about the Ironborn. Yeah.
what you're telling me is Cthulhu too strong. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Cthulhu
Over
too
time,
powerful.
Cthulhu's too strong.
No matter what you do, they all get corrupted by the drowned god. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's basically what happens. The House Greyjoy was very much, a Greenland house that married the last remaining of Harren's kids that survived the attack at Harrenhal, and that's it.
Well, what you got to do?
Plus, every story needs some pirates.
Yeah, but I mean, there's an entire island of pirates that aren't in the Iron Islands.
Yeah, but they don't address those. Like seriously, other than Saldar San, there has been no reference to anybody who's from the Summer Islands. There's been absolutely no references to the Stepstones. Like I said, no references to House of Valeron and Driftmarch. No references to the Corsair King.
Yeah. But I mean, still, like there is an entire section of islands that are actually pirates outside of the Greyjoys.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the hell they're called again, but I do know they exist.
The Basilisk Isles. But yeah, so in combination, I'm wondering if that's the new big set piece. Like King's Landing is very clearly not going to be a set piece too much longer. Whether that means Cersei's going to die, or whether that means we're going to get a sort of different approach to King's Landing, I don't know. But you moved Jaime out. The Tyrell army now has no reason to stay there, so that means Queen of Thorns is going to be leaving. Peter Baelish has not returned to King's Landing in I don't know how long. And there really isn't anyone else that's important character-wise there, unless Varys comes back for some reason. So there's not a lot of characters there. Meanwhile, Sam's going to Old Town. We have Yara and Theon that might be going to Old Town. I would even say, that's probably Euron's stop on his way to Essos if he tries that maneuver. It just seems like we don't have a lot of things to do with anywhere but there.
Yeah, it's slowly sinking. All the locations are just slowly falling away. I don't know what more we'd have to continue having King's Landing as a primary place. It looks like everything in King's Landing is wrapping up.
Yeah, it does seem like everything in King's Landing is wrapping up. But let's obviously there's a lot more of people who haven't been addressed yet, but we're clearly going to the Riverlands. What do you think is going to go down there?
I think it's gonna be a war. Well, I mean, we knew there was going to be some sort of fight in the Riverlands because one of the set pieces that was revealed were, neat and organized Lannister tins, in contrast to the disorganized Tully tins.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be yet another epic battle that we don't see at all on camera.
Or it gets like CGI'd into, ant-sized people. Yeah.
Right. Like, that's the only way I can imagine. There's going to be a big battle, and we're not going to get to see any of it because it's not the main fucking focus battle that they want to have.
Well, yeah, but what is the question? Like,
I think it's a battle for Winterfell.
Okay.
With as much as they've put on Sansa and the Boltons, and he put a knife in my heart, I'm pretty sure the big battle that we're going to get is the Winterfell battle. Legit. Because they were even saying in the show that Riverrun can withstand a siege for a year.
Yeah, which means they'll be fine.
Well, and we got more awkward, incestuous twins making out and declaring "fuck the world." So that's exactly what happened, is it not? I like how his solution to getting kicked out of the Kingsguard was, I'm going to hire Braun, and I'm going to get the best assassins, and I'm going to kill every sparrow I can find. Break his little sparrow neck.
Yeah, but he has to know that plan would have never worked.
I think his plans always boil down to, I'm Jaime Lannister, I do what I want.
Which is funny because if he were smart right now, the first thing he would do would be to take the the Riverland situation.
Right now would be just to go take the Black and call it a day.
No. He's free. He's free now. Like, take what you have, the army you've got, go and pretend to go attack Riverrun, kill Walder Frey, and literally just go back to Casterly Rock and say,
yeah, I was about to say, I
now own Casterly Rock and Lannisport. Fuck you all.
I was about to just say, I think what this is going to do is he's going to go to Riverrun and lead the Lannister army, and then he's going to go take Casterly Rock and all the Lannister lands and be like, I am Lord of the Lannisters now that I'm no longer, Kingsguard.
Yeah.
Because, essentially, cutting him out of the Kingsguard did just, return him to his ability to go rule the Lannister family.
Yeah.
Without even having to put a knife in his heart.
Because way back when Tywin was talking about the situation, when Tywin was talking about the situation in the Westerlands, that they were basically out of Lannister gold. Doesn't mean that everybody else is.
Like I said, he just gets a get out of my duty free card without even having a knife put in his heart.
You're never letting that one go.
Hey, it's 2 Starks now have had a knife put in their heart.
True. Very true.
If they keep putting knives in Stark hearts, I'm going to keep saying it. This one just kind of casually popped up, by the way. They put a knife in my heart as well.
Unless he's not really a Stark. Dun dun dun.
Big sign just pops up over Benjen. We should have stayed in Winterfell.
Yeah, which, of course, it's not time to talk about that part. Because,
shut up, it's always time to talk about that part.
So, in the least surprising move in the entire King's TV show,
Which is funny. I'm sorry, I have to talk about it because George R. R. Martin flat out said that Cold Hands was not binging.
yeah, he's said it more than once.
And then in the TV show, surprise, they put a knife in my heart after they put a nice sword through my belly.
He got stabbed by an ice sword, and the Children of the Forest just happened on his body. What?
And then they put a knife in his heart.
To make him Cold Hands Vengeance.
I don't understand why the Children of the Forest magic all revolves around we're going to put an obsidian knife in your heart.
Okay, well, there is an interesting theory about that.
Is it the ignition key? Is it the ignition key?
Basically. Preston Jacobs was talking about, he and I both are on this, like, Game of Thrones is really a big sci-fi series. And so he's basically saying, like, the obsidian that the children are using is not just straight up obsidian. It's, like, obsidian that is essentially like a biochip. So it's like a computer chip, but made from organic matter.
So basically what you're telling me, they're going, assuming direct control.
Yeah. Yeah. And, essentially they made Terminators on accident. Yeah. And so now that to balance it, they've sent a T-800 forward in time to save Brand's life. Like, if you look at this series as Terminators, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh my god. Does that make the Werewoods Skynet?
Yes. Yes, it does.
That's what I thought.
Like, yes, it absolutely does.
Arnold Schwarzenegger pops up next season. I am Benjamin Stark now.
No, but it would be funny if like some just random guy, like some random like White Walker, like it's like it's out there like the baby Craster's baby gets turned into like adult Arnold as a White Walker. I'd love it. You people would hate it, but I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I would lose my mind with that one. Because I think it'd be hilarious. Like, you know what? We've done enough crazy stuff on the show. Why not go one step farther? Real quick, before we get to, our next little bit and talk about some theories and whatnot, and really kind of, forward think on this episode, I just want to, of course, have you guys check out the wonderful new portion of the Words Don't Do It Justice Empire. That's Weekends Don't Do It Justice, aka Weekend Life. Just press play. If you're watching on YouTube, you can of course see the website the entire time we're up, including of course our movie and TV review section, Streamscape, and of course movies you didn't know you needed. We do of course support some live streamers, our good buddies Van Davius and Eamon, and of course the Revanchist himself here. Everybody is always up with their particular time of streaming during the day and evening. So check that out there. Of course, check out our serial stories section. I do have actually up right now a sneak peek at the secret novel project I've been working on for the last few years. Look for lots of reviews on literary stuff as well as all of our serial artists coming up on the serial story section. Ruthless Radio, you'll find all of these episodes as well as their SoundCloud versions. And of course, in the gaming section, you'll hear gaming news, reviews, and things, and of course, Let's Plays. So check out weekendlife.com or weekendsdontdoitjustice.com or WKNDLIFE.com. Just press play. All right, so let's get deep into this shit. There is something that I wanted to ask you about the moment this episode got over.
Why did he put a knife in his heart?
No.
Okay, well then I don't have.
But it does involve putting the knife. It does involve putting a knife in someone's heart.
Okay. What's up, Doc?
Is Peter Baelish going to live?
That's a hard question to answer. I think he's actually outmaneuvered himself by this time. Like, he made bad decisions that did not go the way he thought they were going to go. It's like the noose is slowly closing around him. Either he's gonna beat feet out of Westeros and he realizes how screwed up things are turning, or he'll die, or the least likely of the two, he somehow manages to get by perfectly fine.
Because here's the thing: last season when it ended, I would have said, "Yeah, Peter Baelish is going to live," but I have a feeling one of two things is going to happen. He is going to be revealed to be someone or something we didn't expect.
He's time
I'm not saying necessarily secret Targaryen, but like secretly more of a deal than even he realized he was, and that's why after the whole Elisa and Catelyn thing happened, he changed in how he deals with people. Um, but it's either that or he is going to end up dead by a White Walker. I don't think he's going to die during the Battle of Winterfell. I think he's going to be trying to do some maneuvering, and the White Walkers are going to kill him. If there's no like secret final bit to his plan, because right now, what the hell is his plan?
Like I don't. It's what I'm saying. I think he's outmaneuvered himself by this point because there is like, all of his schemes have just collapsed in his face, like so much flan in the cupboard.
But even with that, like at least we could say, okay, I know pieces to Peter Baelish's plan, but overall, I have no idea what his plan is.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea.
Think about it. Like, what
I
is his,
think
what
he
is
had
his
a
plan?
plan last season, and this season is his plan slowly collapsing like so much flan in a cupboard around him.
Yeah, but what does he want? Like, what is the
I mean,
goal for all the
his
planning?
entire scheme seemed to have been, I want to bone a Tully, followed by, I wish I was a lord of my own. Now I'm gonna rule by proxy through Sweet Robin, and now, oops, all that stuff I did with Sansa is coming back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, but even when he had a chance where he could have boned a Tully, he didn't. He
I
killed her
never
instead.
said he had a good plan.
But that's just it. Like for all of the stuff he's done, you would think there was a goal, and there is no goal. We have gotten this entire way, and
Maybe
unless his
he's
goal is
just a
to be
champion of
king,
Zinch. Maybe he's just a champion of Zinch. His goal is to have plans within plans, and that's about it.
those damn Zechian plans. All right, but yeah, that's just kind of
No, here's what
bothered
it
me.
is. Peter Baelish is actually Bran who traveled back in time.
Oh God.
And that's why he appears all over the place in Westeros.
uh, that would be funny though.
And I mean, there is a problem with Peter Baelish and what he wants. He himself said it's a strange thing. It doesn't matter what we want. Once we get it, we only want more. He's
Yeah.
literally a champion of Zinch. He plans for the sake of planning.
Yeah, but at the same time, he doesn't plan it. Like it's like he's making a plan to make a plan. Yeah, but even when you do that, you're supposed to have a goal. It seems like the goal is to plan and to do stuff. Like, is he an agent of chaos now? Is like, are you the Joker and you just don't give a shit, dude? Because if you don't, why all the stuff with Sansa? Why all of this stuff? Really? It just doesn't make sense. Like he's in the early seasons, he's very logical in the stuff he does. It seems like he wants Harrenhal. He does the stuff to get Harrenhal, and boom, it's his. It's all good to go. But in the the later seasons, there's nothing but plans. Nothing but plans.
He has plans within plans.
They're not a sponsor, but I want to thank Corona Cigar Shop for all the wonderful cigars I smoke. Folks, you should know I don't smoke cigars often, but today is an occasion.
Now, what's the occasion?
Well, like our buddy George R. R. Martin, I murdered a bunch of characters last night. So today I am, resting in the basking in the glow of absolute character murder. In a story that is probably scale wise somewhere in the Game of Thrones lane, but a much different tale. Obviously, I can't tell them too much about Project 13. You can check, of course, our serial stories to see that one little sample chapter, Arise from Underdark. But I killed probably about 20 people today.
You know,
that are named like well-known characters.
wow, that's impressive. But to diverge back to this topic, I was just thinking about what you said about, is Peter Baelish like an agent of chaos? Is he the Joker now? And I think there might be some merit to that notion.
Okay, let me hear it.
Well, I mean, you have to consider he was called Littlefinger because of his family's obscurely fucking poverty, not having much of all. Freaking yeah, they didn't have anything. They were like the bottom of nobility, and even then, because of his low-ranking, unnamed, freaking less than important nobility status, he couldn't marry the girl he loved. He was denied that because he wasn't a lord or a high lord or anyone worth important. He wasn't even a small lord. Like, he was pathetic. His family was nothing. They were hedge knights who were once Braavosi sellswords. Right. So I mean, he said it himself. He doesn't really want anything, but look at the chaos he's sown all across the Seven Kingdoms. It could be his grand scheme is basically attempting to pull down the entire feudal system that Westeros runs on. He doesn't want to sit on the throne. He wants to destroy the entire system that basically kept him down his entire life.
Oh shit, that actually makes sense.
He hates the society that Westeros is. He's a victim of the feudal society that Westeros is. And it would continue happening.
As a merchant, he makes so much money that he should have a higher place in society. So, of course, the guy who destroys feudalism would be the guy from the merchant class who most benefits from destroying feudalism.
Yeah, and Varys himself thinks that Littlefinger is just an agent of chaos, but I mean, Varys doesn't understand like the childhood and what happened to Peter Baelish being denied his true love because he wasn't of high social standing and always basically getting beaten down and humiliated by this feudal society around him. It's quite possible that all of his schemes, everything he's done, has been solely for the purpose of tearing the entire system apart, letting it collapse, start basically sparking this entire civil war for this whole purpose of, just destroying the Seven Kingdoms altogether and replacing it.
Yeah, I almost can't like deny that. Like, it has to be.
And there was also that one line in the TV show where he's like, "I'm not going to fight them. I'm going to fuck them."
And how harder could you fuck them than destroying the system that keeps them in power?
And he also tells Sansa to imagine a world where one in love can overcome strength and duty. And he also has said, "Revenge, I always found that to be the most pure and crystal of all motivations. But if you truly want a revenge, be smart about it."
And what's smarter than what he's doing right now? Hell, everything he's done, including the stuff he's done, has impacted what's happened to Daenerys.
And in the books, when people ask him what he wants, he always says everything.
And that's the way to get everything. Damn, that's good.
Yeah. Basically, he's out for revenge against the entire feudal society, and he wants everything. He measures himself by his standing, and if you look historically, feudalism was basically brought down by capitalism.
He is literally the embodiment of capitalism.
He is the embodiment of someone who pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps. He is the Protestant American work ethic manifest inside of freaking Game of Thrones.
He is Chibity Crockett. He is the Neo-American dream, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to my G Gundam fans. Because he's an interesting character study, and I talk about him because he's not appearing as often this season as he has normally. Part of that's because he was doing the Maze Runner movie and a couple other films, but part of that's just been the writing. They've wanted to get to other character points and other character beats, but it does make sense. The whole him sort of being able to be just about anywhere, like a corporation can be just about anywhere. His like the industries he gets involved in, who he gets next to, who's in power, like his influence, all of it. If he wrote the Pink Letter, which it seems like he did for the show, if he's he's technically the reason why Varys has to go to Essos, which means he influences the fact that Dany is now going to be coming back faster. Like, this could literally be all his plan, and that's crazy talk, but like entirely sensible crazy talk.
And in A Clash of Kings, Tyrion has a little bit about Peter Baelish, where it says, 10 years ago, John Arryn had given him minor sinecure and customs where Lord Peter had soon distinguished himself by bringing in 3 times as much as any of the king's other collectors. King Robert had been a prodigious spender. A man like Peter Baelish, who had a gift for rubbing 2 golden dragons together and breeding a third, was invaluable to his hand. Littlefinger's rise had been arrow swift. Within 3 years of coming to court, he had been made master of coin and a member of the small council, and today the crown's revenues were 10 times what they had been under his predecessor, though the crown's debt had grown vast. As a master juggler was Peter Baelish. Oh, he was clever. He did not simply collect the gold and lock it in a treasure vault. No, he paid the king's debts and promises and put the king's gold to work. He bought wagons, shops, ships, houses. He bought grain when it was plentiful and sold bread when it was scarce. He bought wool from the north and linen from the south and lace from Liz, stored it, moved it, dyed it, sold it. The golden dragons bred and multiplied, and Littlefinger lent them out and brought them home with hatchlings. And in the process, he moved his own men into place. The keeper of the keys were his, all 4. The king's counter and the king of scales were men he named. The officers in charge of all 3 mints, harbor masters, tax farmers, customs sergeants, wool factors, toll collectors, pursers, wine factors, 9 of every 10 belonged to Littlefinger. They were men of middling birth, by and large, merchants' sons, lesser lordlings, and sometimes even foreigners, but judging from the results, far more able than their high-born predecessors. No one had ever thought to question the appointments. Why should they? Littlefinger was no threat to anyone. A clever, smiling, genial man, everyone's friend, always able to find whatever gold the king or his hand required, and yet of such undistinguished birth, one step from a hedge knight. He was not a man to fear. He had no banners to call, no army of retainers, no great stronghold, and no holdings to speak of, no prospects of a great marriage.
Except he has something even more important. Loyalty among the common folk.
Yeah. But I mean, if you looking in between the lines, yeah, he has no this and that and this and that, but nobody views him as a threat. He's carefully freaking woven himself into the fabric of the kingdom when he was in control. He basically is a representation of the sort of merchant princes that ruled at the time in the 1400s and the 1600s that really brought about capitalism as we know it, like the merchant republics.
And of course, a very important document that will probably exist in some form in Game of Thrones, the Magna Carta.
Yeah. And also, Peter Baelish to me is like a manifestation of Machiavelli. Because Machiavelli also basically was a merchant inside of the Merchant Republic, and his ideas helped change feudal society.
Machiavelli gets a bad rap though. Like, everybody assumes that his his entire process is thinking in the prince. But if you
No,
look at his other works, he's far different.
okay, what people don't understand is historically the Prince was a work of satire.
Yeah.
He did not like the Medici at all. The Medici hated him, and he wrote the book basically making fun of the Medici.
Yeah.
Because everything else he wrote, it's counter to his own beliefs, is what's presented in The Prince, and basically the entire thing was just lampooning the Medici family.
He really like people. People don't put stuff in context. You can't expect them to. The funny thing is, it's become this like basis for modern power politics, and it's just creepy. As somebody who, of course, I read it along with some of his other works, and a fairly large reading list beyond that. Yeah, I kind of feel like Peter Baelish is that character for Martin.
Yeah, I mean, I had to read The Prince for my one of my history classes, and
Makes
then I
sense.
had to read one of his other writings, which is like, wow. And then we got into how he hated the Medici family, and it was all basically a giant fu to the Medicis.
Yeah, I mean between
Because
that, they are
despite what
horrible.
he writes in The Prince, Machiavelli was a strong believer in republicanism and not whole
Which of
noble
course,
births and princes and all that other crap.
is exactly what Baelish is basically trying to do.
Yeah.
Damn. So he might live. The other thing I saw a fairly crazy theory, and we're going to get to the crazy theory section because we did kind of promise folks that we would eventually get to some of the outlandish shit that we read all the time. Um, so one of the crazy theories is Peter Baelish is the actual Azor Ahai. Like, no joke.
That would be an interesting turn of events.
Well, what they pointed to is that the person he's going to have to kill, which I don't think is going to happen, is Sansa, because like she's the embodiment of everything he loves: girls with red hair, Tullys, Caitlyn's daughter. Like, and so killing her by drawing a sword for the very first time, like, is sort of the way he will become the promised hero. And
Wait, no. Sam is the Azor Ahai. Look, he just stole a sword.
we're getting to that one. But the other thing, and this is fairly new, is that the thing that Martin told the actor who plays Davos is that Davos is the real Azor Ahai.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that the prince that was promised and Azor Ahai are not the same person, but that Azor Ahai reborn is Davos.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy, right? That and essentially that he's the one that'll save everyone from the White
I
Walkers.
believe it's actually Drogon the dragon.
Nah, that's the stallion that mounts the world. Drogon's the stallion that mounts the world. Remember?
Okay, can I take a moment to just reflect upon how lazy the naming of that dragon was? Called Drogo, dragon, Drogon. It's
Well,
like
I
a
mean,
bad DBZ fusion.
oh god, I can imagine the fan art now of like of Dan,
Dragon and Drogon.
of Danny and Drogon doing the fusion dance and it becoming Drogon.
Yeah. Freaking a dragon and Drogo just do the fusion dance and they become Drogon.
So somebody had asked me about my show theory I brought up a while back, the Gendry returns theory. Um, we're going to the Riverlands next week. We know the Brotherhood Without Banners is still out there. George recently actually said to Preston Jacobs during the dinner at Balticon that the Brotherhood Without Banners will be returning in the books, the ones that are alive, still alive at least. And it seems to be like, in my mind, we've been dealing with a show that has done a very law of conservation of actors. So we've combined a lot of plots into people, just like Ariane's plot was combined with Ilaria and the Sand Snakes instead of bringing her into the story. Quentin's plot seems to have been a little bit of Tyrion's, which is why I think Quentin's alive. Um, uh, and it may end up here. All right, so this takes two crazy theories. One is that Theon is going to get killed by the dragons, quote unquote, killed by the dragons.
Okay,
They're going to sell the Essos. Here's the deal. They're selling the Essos. You know that's happening because you clearly see what looks like a Lysini whore, like kissing on Yara. So that's probably Tyrion saying, "I'll give these Ironborn, a wonderful feast full of the vices that they want, and they will give us boats to get us back." So Theon does the Quentin plot because it doesn't matter who does the Quentin plot because Quentin doesn't really die. But somebody's got to land in Westeros or at least cause some issues in Westeros while all this is all going on before Dany gets there. If they go with things. Yeah, if they go with the general story beats. Who better than to use Gendry to do that? He has the only remaining claim to the Stormlands. Now, you don't really need a Stormlander existence other than just their army. We know the Boltons don't still have all of Stannis' troops because they either would have gone with back to Davos or been slaughtered or go south. Well, the Mercs probably all left. What about the remaining Stormlanders that were with Stannis? They're probably heading back to the Stormlands. Who would they pick up on the way south to the Stormlands but Gendry?
Yeah, possible.
We know Saldor San still has them all on, still has all those ships, so it stands to reason they got to be somewhere. And I think using Gendry would make a nice. Here's what happened to that character. Since clearly it doesn't matter how many seasons ago somebody goes away, because Benjen's back.
Only because they put enough in his heart.
House Stark. They put a knife in my heart.
It's the only way they can avoid death. That's why Ned died. They didn't put a knife in his heart.
Yeah. We cut his head off. Which, real quickly, I do want to say that play is probably like some of the best acting on the show right now. Between them doing the actual play and then the actors afterwards, like that has to be a mind trip. The actors are acting as actors acting in a play.
Yeah.
What? Let's see what the comment section's talking about. Let's see here. Van's here. Oh, hey, Van. And, of course, Bobo's in. Shout out to Bobo from Bobo's Block. And, of course, everybody over at Game Street Radio.
We have comments?
Yeah, on the watch page on YouTube.
Oh, this is news to me.
Yeah. Every once in a while we get a couple comments. Stuff.
I didn't think anyone watched us.
Usually they don't, but they watch afterwards. So when I put the live stuff up, every once in a while we get like 1 or 2 viewers. But, there they are. Bobo caught the Skynet bit. Let's see here. Oh, new comments. But, yeah, so you put enough in the hot. We definitely need to get like more memes of that out there. Everybody, give us your best. He put enough in my heart. Video responses on like 5-second videos, and we will play them at the beginning of an episode. Like if you do a good one, we will seriously tack this onto the YouTube just so people can see and hear this ridiculousness. So the other thing is Sam and Heartsbane. Were you happy? Like I was happy when he stole the sword.
Oh, it was fun. It was nice to see Samwell's testicles descend from out of his fat.
By the way, he's been at the wall for at least 4 years at this point.
Right?
How is he still the exact same size as he was when the show started?
He's found ways to
Like,
consume, he's found ways to consume calories on the wall.
yeah, like I'm fat. I'm a fat guy. I'm a truly fat guy, folks. I weigh over 300 pounds right now.
Yeah, same.
If you put me 4 years of I need to hunt for food
Fucking
in
wall.
a
My ass is
frozen
gonna come
fucking
back
wasteland,
200 pounds lighter.
yeah, while every asshole who's there with me wants to kill me, I'm gonna lose some weight. Like,
I don't understand how he managed to maintain his body mass in a frozen, desolate wasteland. We hunted squirrels. Well, mainly
with
my
something
friend
like
John.
somebody did some crazy stuff. So they were it was I forget which thread it was. I think it was on Reddit. It might have been somewhere else, but somebody was talking about the diets of most of the people who live in Westeros, and basically all the lords are too skinny, and every one of the Night's Watch is too fat.
You have to understand the amount of calories you would have to consume in that sort of frozen environment with the extreme cold to maintain your body weight. Like, he was sneaking into the food storage and just like eating everything when everyone else was asleep or going on ranges. Like, they should have never made him one of those custodian guys. He's just in the pantry eating the supplies. We came up short. He just like starts eating other Night's Watchmen when no one's looking.
Yeah, but he's not the only one. When Janice Slint was still alive, he was too fat to still be there, and he'd been there even longer.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like Janice Slint should be a fraction of the size he is. Sam should be as well, and also Jon Snow shouldn't be this buff. Like, what? Where is he getting the calories to clearly lift weights and have all this muscle from?
I mean, obviously, it's from all the knives they put in his heart.
Doesn't that's a lot of iron. Unfortunately, he wasn't pumping it. He was getting pumped by it.
I mean, the only other thing I can even fathom is that John hunts a lot of squirrels. Because freaking Sam's like, we hunt squirrels. Well, mostly my friend John does. And what the hell was with Benjen? Like, I'm gonna kill this squirrel and you're gonna drink its blood like he's a freaking vampire.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I did promise.
I get that you're a zombie, Benjen, but like, why? Why just give him a cup of squirrel blood and call it a day?
Well, because he needs calories, and like you don't want to waste any calories, and there's obviously calories in the blood. But
There's
at least
calories in the perfectly good squirrel meat he threw over his shoulder.
But it's like at least like make some like blood sausage or something out of that. Like what the hell, man?
I mean, he had a perfectly good dead squirrel. He wrings its blood out and just like throws the carcass into the snow and gives him a cup of blood. Like, why not give him the actual squirrel to eat as well?
Yeah. He's not thinking straight, you know? Like his Skynet downloads haven't updated properly. Excuse me, his WereWoodNet his WereWoodNet updates haven't done properly, you know.
Which like leads me to another question. If like someone digs into his chest and pulls out the obsidian, does he just turn into a freaking white?
No, I think he just falls dead.
Hmm.
Like I honestly think that's the other I think all of the other White Walkers are going to be able to be like killed by obsidian, fine. But I think the Night King is going to need to have that piece of obsidian taken out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Or, you know, they'll just have a Drogon shoot fire in his face. As the Third Reich of Targaryen rises.
Yeah. So let's get to that. Villain Daenerys. How do you see that going out? Yes, Van. We actually think Daenerys is the villain here. I think Daenerys is going to end up like taking the dragons and letting the Dothraki conquer, and she's just slowly getting more into it. Like she's becoming like the enemy, which reminds me of a Shakespearean play, Coriolanus. If John is Caesar, because clearly he got stabbed up. Yeah. The idea that Daenerys is taking a foreign army and coming back and conquering what she believes should, the place she believes should still support her, which is Westeros. That's almost beat for beat Coriolanus. For those who have not read Shakespeare, you filthy peasants. Go read a book. Coriolanus is an amazing warrior for Rome. Um, he conquers in Rome's name. He comes back and he tries to basically take power, and the people reject him. And he goes out and he joins with a former enemy and comes back to fight Rome as a traitor. Uh, and I thought at first that that was really going to be John's story with the wildlings, but Daenerys seems to be becoming that, and she's becoming quite a good villain at the moment. That speech sounds like every bad guy speech in every movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, like that was clearly the villain monologue.
And she's got blonde hair. I'm just saying.
And think about it, it is the perfect analog for like the German Empire, because you had the first Targaryens and the Valerian Freehold, and then they came over, and then you had the second Targaryen Empire, and now Daenerys is trying to like bring back the Third Reich.
Yeah. But I think you were on something with the, like I said, with the Mongol hordes, because the Dothraki really have been seen as these amazing horsebound warriors. They arch from on there. They use sickles and scythes. They clearly all have the very same approach as as Khan and his hordes, and like all of the Khanates, uh, take they take prisoners and turn them into slaves. Yeah,
Because I mean, the problem being is like up until this point, they've been trying to per show Daenerys as this. Oh, look at her, the liberator, the breaker of chains. But I mean, if you consider everything she's done, like she's done some shady deals and some downright dirty things. Like I'm all for the abolition of slavery and all of that, but just look at how she got the Unsullied. She bought them and then reneged on the deal instantly and set the dude on fire.
yeah,
She did kill, like, she ordered them to kill the masters just kill all of them on the virtue that they owned slaves when she
yeah.
first got the Unsullied.
She crucified all the Milanese, 130 of the Milanese slavers, because they had done the same to their child slaves.
But
She killed that
up
one kid
until
who had taken over his house, and he hadn't actually done anything. Like, we have no idea if he was actually involved with the Harpy or not. We find out he probably wasn't, because the Harpies were clearly supported by the other slave cities.
yeah, but then you also like they've done a decent job of trying to portray her as this liberator, and then it just completely 180s when she's on that dragon, screaming about her Khalasar and how you're all my blood riders now, and will you not go conquer all of Westeros in my name? Like she turned from this liberator marching through Essos, freeing the slaves, to I am super thirsty for the Iron Throne. I am Viserys 2.0 now. I want my crown.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to take this to another comic book reference, but that is legitimately, the embodiment of Harvey Dent's speech in The Dark Knight. You either die a hero or live to see yourself become the villain. And guess what, folks? She's becoming the villain right now.
And I think the timing was also interesting with the Brand's flashbacks to the Mad King.
Yeah, saying
And
burn them all.
yeah, that was like immediately previous to Daenerys on top of her dragon proclaiming she's going to conquer the world, and she's basically going to use the Dothraki, who are basically the show's equivalent of the Mongols.
Yeah, like I originally thought, okay, so
And
Tyrion
bearing in
and
mind,
Jace are on the right side.
it's like bearing in mind what we know of the Dothraki is that they murder, pillage, burn, and rape their way through countrysides.
Yeah, and you're gonna set them, like, you're literally about to set them free on all of Westeros.
Yeah.
Like, well, they say the like all the Khalasars are there. So you're talking about an army over 100,000 at this point. You're talking like nearly 1 million at this point between women. But if you add in the women and children.
And you also have to remember, like, they always said that whenever a Targaryen was born, the gods flipped a coin to decide whether or not it was batshit crazy.
Yeah, looks like Rhaegar was the only sane one. If
And
you believe that Rhaegar and Dany are brother and sister, which I don't.
but if you look at Viserys and
There were 2 babies in the Tower of
Daenerys,
Joy, people. There are 2 babies in the Tower of Joy.
but I mean, if you look at Viserys and Daenerys together,
Yep.
She might have delayed insanity due to the fact that he was abusive in her early life, but she hasn't exactly done things that one would consider sane up until this point.
Yeah, and that was the thing. That was the thing I was looking at. All right, so they say they flip a coin, but really, as all of the Targaryens get older, they go crazy. All the ones that they talk about in the show at some point went crazy.
I would say Aemon didn't, but then I remember he's a product of a Dane and a Targaryen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Bloodraven and Aemon and all of them, they were all descendants of House Dane and House Targaryen. It wasn't Targaryen.
Well, no,
Targaryen
Bloodraven is Blackmont and Targaryen.
Oh, well, whatever.
So
it don't matter. I put a knife in his heart.
So we're gonna wrap up here in just a minute, but I wanted to get out of here on a fairly progressive note. Let's think about next episode with what we've seen.
But a girl finally has an interesting story.
Fine, we can talk about Arya.
A girl finally has an interesting plot line. She's not getting hit in the head with a stick anymore.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So everybody seems to have liked what's going on with Arya. Here's why I don't. Who she killed?
She's killed nobody.
As a faceless, she's killed no one because she wasn't supposed to kill. Oh crap! What the hell's his name now? Meryn Trant. She wasn't supposed to kill him.
Yeah, well, she's obviously not going to be a faceless person anyway.
But I mean, she's not even good at being an assassin because she screwed up with that too.
Yeah, like I'm saying, she chose not to be an assassin, and I just want to point out for the record that I was right. In the show, it was do or die because he's sending that little bitch to kill her.
Oh yeah, and she is gonna die. But the thing is, all right, I expect another flip. I expect he sent the waif to go kill her. She kills the waif, takes all the faces that the waif happens to have on her, and then Jaqen appears out of nowhere and is like, "You did a good job. That was a real test."
I don't think it's going to happen. I think her digging up Needle was symbolic of the fact that she can't let go of who she is.
Well, I think she's going to say no to continuing on her training, but I don't think he's mad because, again, that's not really Jaqen Akar. That's the kindly man. He just has Jaqen's face all the time.
I don't think it matters who it is. I'm legitimately, I don't think that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, fair.
It might go a completely different way in the book, and I believe it is going to go a completely different way in the book. But in the show, they've changed it to the point where it's you do it or you die.
Yeah.
And she chose not to do it. They've turned it very two-dimensional, and I'm just happy that it seems like she's breaking away from that stupid plot line that they degraded it into.
Well, and because there's really nothing to do there. No one else is in Bravos anymore. They brought Mace back from Bravos, so there was really no one there connecting her to Westeros. And they cast the play folks. That's the other thing. When we had the whole casting leaks of who was cast for the season, one of the casting call sheets was for a troupe of actors. Similar to, of course, the Mercy chapter. And for those who haven't read all the stuff for the books, the Mercy chapter really is her pulling off another pretty amazing assassination. But it also seems that she's going to stick with them for a while. They have other stuff for her to do with them. So I almost wonder whether that's going to be her way back to Westeros, is that damn play.
Yeah, well, she did introduce herself to the person as Mercy.
Yeah. So we've got that, but yeah,
Well, I mean, she
it's
still has like all the off-screen training montage skills that they taught her, and while she hasn't assassinated anyone, I think she'll kill the waif and team up with the actors and end up back in Westeros.
Do you think she'll take the waif's face?
I don't know.
How can she leave and not have any faces, man? Like that just bothers me.
I
You gotta give her some faces, man.
I think it'd be perfectly fine if she didn't get any of the faces.
Why? Everybody know. Like, hold on. All right. There is no way Arya Stark can walk around Westeros with that very obvious face and no one pick her up.
It She can if they take her to the north after Jon Snow takes over the castle.
You think John could actually convince her to stay in Winterfell though? Like with all the
Yes,
people she wants alive?
with like the massive Targaryen love boner they had between the two of them. Yes, I think they could.
You don't think they're really gonna do that, do you?
I don't know. Like rereading it and rewatching the first season, Arya and Jon really did seem a little too close. And if Jon's a secret Targaryen, he does have certain predispositions.
Oh man, I really don't want them to do that to incest. Um, I love my sister. No, you don't get it. I really love my sister. Damn it, man! Come on.
But no, I mean, I think if anyone could convince her to stay in Winterfell, it would be Jon. Either that, or she turns into like freaking. She sees Brienne and just instantly fucking yay! I'm gonna follow you around and kill people now.
That would be an interesting three-person team: Brienne, Podrick, and Arya. Well, and somebody. Well, okay. Yeah, another one of those, massive spoilers from people like talking too much. We know Ian McShane's bringing back the Hound, so you could literally have the Hound, Brienne, Podrick, and Arya.
Yeah.
We need one more person for a 5-man band, though. Who's the fifth member? John? Yeah, I guess.
I
Shit.
just read something funny about uh what happened in the episode. Mira was apologizing to him as the White Walkers approached. Like, I'm so sorry that you touched that tree when you weren't supposed to and walked into Hodor while Green seeing and then ruined his life and our life, and now we're going to die because of everything you did. I'm sorry.
Because it's entirely his fault. Like, come on,
Yeah.
guys, come on. But yeah, so we'll get out of here. But I really, I'm not gonna say I dislike a lot of the compression they've been doing, but I'm not happy with how little, how little, proper resolution based on where they were going. We've gotten a lot of, and this is over now. To a lot of the resolutions so far, and knowing that we're only getting
Just in a black hole.
yeah, knowing that we're only getting what 7 more full episodes of content over the next. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Is it 7? Jesus, it was 7. Yeah, full episodes worth of content over the next 2 seasons, with padding, because you're going to get padding. 13, that's what it was. Thank you. Shout out to the person who sends me notes when I'm doing these recordings. But yeah, 13 more episodes of full content over the course of the next 2 seasons. Meaning we're probably going to do a 7 and 6 or 10 episode full season 7 and a 3-hour like miniseries 8 finale. I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with the way that they've done all this. Like, somebody said before, if you would have kept it. Oh, it's Carmine over at Routine Review. He had said if you had kept in some of the additional interesting plots, especially ones like Aegon, like you would have plenty of space to do a full 10 episodes each season.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, because Cold Hands came in at a different time, I think it's still entirely possible that they're gonna pull the rug out underneath us and have an Aegon. Possibly, that might be like the cliffhanger of the season is Aegon's invasion landing. Just throwing that out there.
Someone lands. You don't know whether it's Daenerys and it turns out the season premiere of the next season it's actually Aegon, and he finishes up. Well, but that's the thing. I don't think it's going to actually be Aegon. I think it's going to be Gendry playing Aegon, basically.
I don't know. I mean, it still feels to me like, I mean, they didn't mention Cold Hands at all, and then suddenly, boom, Cold Hands. I feel like they could still just boom Aegon.
Yeah, but they didn't cast for it. They didn't have to cast for Cold Hands because it was already Benjen. It's the same way that they could do the same thing here with Gendry. They don't have to cast for the Aegon replacement.
Maybe they all secretly did.
Who though?
I don't know.
You don't think the actor that's playing Joffrey?
I mean,
oh shit, folks! We might have just discovered a secret plot because that is his real hair and his real eye color. And of course, for the people who've really depthly read, all the stuff with Aegon, that like they find him with like a trunk that has a bunch of different clothes in it. That's similar to an actor's trunk, like a mummer's trunk, that has all the different clothes and different trappings for different places. What if they did? What if Arya is secretly like carrying Aegon back to Westeros? Oh wow! Alistair Thorne is somewhere going, "Damn it!"
No, I mean it's entirely possible. Like they could have secretly cast him in as one of the guys in the play because, like you said, Aegon does have a trunk, like a play person's trunk with all kinds of clothes in it.
Oh my god, that's just crazy enough for us to end on. Aegon could still exist, or Fagon, as some of you people like to derivatively call him. But we're gonna get out of here. I want to say, of course, shout outs to the folks I support on Patreon: Preston Jacobs, Alt Shift X, Rarist, and of course the Don Tony Teflon out there with Teflon TV. Hopefully we'll get some of them on at some point in the future with my show, The Wrath of Ruthless. But of course, for the Revanchist, I am the Ruthless Wonder. And of course, for Weekend Life, that's WKNDLIFE.com. For Words Don't Do It Justice, for everybody at 314 Publishing, and of course for our streamers, some of which have been here in the comment section. Be sure to check out weekendlife.com. Be sure to check out the live streams for Fed Davius Gaskin over at VG Skin on YouTube. Of course, Eamon Walker at STL Solo 314 on YouTube. And of course, the Big Daddy of them all, Revanchist Gaming on YouTube. And I'll be back. I technically have a channel. Don't pay too much attention to mine. I don't really put anything important on mine. But be sure to check out all the channels. Be sure to check out all of our websites. That's wddij.com or .net. Words Don't Do It Justice.com or .net. And that's weekendlife.com. And we've got some other big news coming. I did promise you give no quarter. The ladies and I will be getting to that here very soon. And we'll be testing out some new co-hosts on The Wrath of Ruthless coming up as well. So for now, I'm awesome. The show's awesome. We have crazy theories. And next week, we'll have even crazier theories. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Farewell.